Hello, welcome back. Sue here. Now, I don't know about you, but as we go into about our 10th week of lockdown, I am yearning for a bit of peace and quiet. If you also have children at home, you may be experiencing the sensation that there is never a minute's peace. A friend of mine suggested a couple of days ago that living with a small child through lockdown is like living with a verbally incontinent parrot. You can't get a word in edgeways and they never stop talking. That's definitely been my experience this week. So, what I want to do is talk a little bit about how that's been and what I've learned from it this week. Now, I've got to admit, there have been times when my little verbally incontinent parrot at home, Will, has been chatting and I haven't been giving him my full attention. I might have had to just check something on my phone, or perhaps been watching a bit of something, or chatting to a friend by text. And actually, I realised the other day when he said, "Mummy, what is it that's so important?" that it probably wasn't really that important what I was doing. And to him, I was giving the message that said, what Mummy is doing is more important than listening to you. So obviously, the mummy guilt kicked in a little bit that day. There's a really good charity called Young Minds, and they've got a brilliant campaign at the moment called Take 20. And when he said, "What is it that's so important, Mummy?" it reminded me of that campaign. So this week I've been trying to actually be a lot more present with Will and make sure that every day I'm finding a good 20 minutes to just put my phone down, turn off the laptop or the telly or whatever it is, and just be really present and properly listen to what he's saying. And actually, some really interesting things have come out with small children, particularly, and also I think probably teenagers too. Trying to have a serious conversation for 20 minutes is completely nigh on impossible, really. So, what we've been doing is finding activities that we can do together that he really enjoys. And during those activities, he's just had a chance to chat. And it might be something or nothing, or it might be a bigger feeling that he's talking about. So, it might be that we're having a walk or we're playing a game. And that's a chance for us to be just sort of side by side in a very informal, non-intense kind of setting, not loads of eye contact, not looking at him and saying, "How are you feeling about things at the moment?" None of that. Just chit-chatting through the day during an activity and things come out. So, for example, we were playing on the trampoline the other day and he'd been doing loads of bouncing around. And then as he got tired, he came and sat on my lap and said, "Mummy, I want to be Purdy now." And I said, "What, Purdy the cat?" And he said, "Yes, yeah. I've been abandoned, Mummy. I'm a stray cat." So we had a game where he was being a stray cat and I was rescuing him. Now, it might be that that's just a random game, or it might be that he actually was wanting some feelings of comfort and reassurance at that time. And it doesn't actually matter which of the two it was. He enjoyed the game and it was an opportunity for us to have a snuggle. And whatever it was that he was feeling was able to just come out during that game. And actually, games are a really good way of getting kids talking about perhaps things that they are feeling. After that, a little bit later that day, we were chatting about the prospect of going back to school next week because my wife's a key worker. And suddenly, out of nowhere, he became really angry. And I said, "Will, what's the problem? Why are you so cross?" And he didn't want to go back to school. And I said, "Will, why not?" And actually, once he got talking and I just sat back and really listened, the reason that he was cross was because he felt that another pupil was leaving him out of games at school. Now, what he was really feeling was sad and maybe a bit rejected, but he didn't know how to express those feelings. So it came out as being really, really cross. So we let that feeling blow through, we let that storm blow through, and then we talked about how might he respond if that pupil leaves him out of a game again. How could he find something else that he'd like to play with by himself? Or how might he invite another friend to play a game? Actually, for kids, it's not instinctive to know how to respond in social situations unless they've seen other people do it, or unless they've done it successfully themselves, perhaps by chance. They find these things quite difficult sometimes. So there's an opportunity when a big feeling is coming out to talk about how we might respond differently next time round. And that gives Will a much better sense of control about going back to school, because if he is left out of a game by a particular pupil, and let's face it, that's going to happen at some point, that's just part of being a kid, he's now got a little bit of a toolkit that he can use to respond in that situation next time. So actually, what we're doing during this lockdown period is practicing the skills that we need for emotional literacy as he goes forward, as he grows through school and into adulthood. Last September, the Office of National Statistics released a really startling figure, which is that the leading cause of death in young men between the ages of 20 and 49 is suicide. And I have to say, from a lot of the research that I've read and a lot of the work I've done, particularly with young lads, the inability to express feelings at all, or to just express it through anger, I think is a really important underpinning factor in that suicide rate. Now, as a parent, parent of a little boy, but also parents of girls as well, I really feel that we've got a brilliant opportunity now during lockdown rather, when we've got more time with our kids, to try and sow the seeds and lay the groundwork for children to be able to express what it is they're feeling, to be able to practice how they might respond differently if they are responding with anger or they're responding with complete silence. Think about different ways that they might respond to difficult situations in the future. We've got the time now. Let's use that time. Let's give our kids that emotional literacy, that toolkit. How can we respond differently so that we don't end up with Will, for example, at 15, feeling as though he doesn't have any other way of responding to big feelings other than to punch somebody, or perhaps equally terrible, to just bottle it all up and feel that horrible inner sadness of a child who can't express a big feeling and it eats them up inside instead. So this week, I am going to be listening more. I'm going to be putting down my phone. I'm going to be taking 20 minutes every day. We're going to do just the normal activities that we do, and I'm going to talk less and listen more. Somebody once said to me when I was a kid, there's a reason why you have one mouth and two ears. And as a parent, I'm going to be really taking that on board this week and letting him do the talking, me do the listening, and remind him that actually, even if he's got lots and lots and lots of things to say, that's okay, because it is good to talk. Next week, we're going to be talking again about talk, but from an academic perspective, and how we support children to develop the skills of metacognition, thinking through, if you like, by talking through. Look after yourselves this week. Hang in there. Take care and see you soon.